This is Gary Atensi with CNTV, and today we're in Colorado Springs, Colorado. I'm here at Rufrano's Hell's Kitchen Pizza. Since 2010, they have been slapping, tossing, and serving up New York City's best pizza right here in Colorado. I'm here with Nelson. Thanks for joining us today, Nelson. Let's start off a little bit about yourself here. I mean, they say only in America can a guy have a dream of owning his own pizzeria, secure a location, and maybe at that late stage of the game not even know how to make a great pizza yet and still make a heck of a success of it. That's exactly what you've done. Share with me a little bit how this got started for you, this journey.
Yeah, it's kind of ironic that you say that, because that's exactly how it happened. You know, I actually owned a tree removal and pruning business, and New Year's I had a dream that I owned a pizzeria. It's about 4 in the morning. I wake up and I'm like, man, that dream was vivid. It was like a family-owned operation, very lucrative. So I got online, I started doing research, how to start a pizzeria. And then, 4 hours went by and I was like, wow. I promised this lady I was going to take a tree down for her today. It was New Year's morning, it was 8 o'clock, so I put the idea about the pizzeria in the back of my mind. Didn't think much of it, and went and took the tree down. About a month later, my daughter wanted to go to New York City, but she wanted to look at some schools while we were out there. While we were out there, a friend of mine took me to a place called Hell's Kitchen Pizza in Hell's Kitchen, New York. He said, I'm going to take you to the best place in New York City to eat. And he takes me to a place called Hell's Kitchen Pizza. And at the time, I really didn't want to go to a place called Hell's Kitchen. I just started going back to church, and I was trying to get my life straight. And he said, come on, it's the name of the neighborhood. Look, you got Hell's Kitchen Pharmacy, Hell's Kitchen Hardware. And I'm like, okay, there's a a pitchfork on the door. So we go in, and I eat this pizza. It's called the Hellfire, and it's absolutely amazing. Best pizza I've ever eaten in my life. So I tell my friend Fred, I was like, Fred, this is the best pizza I've ever eaten in my life. And I proceed to tell him about the dream. And he's like, oh, you need to talk to my friend Russ. He's the owner. And I said, just calm down. And he says, no, you need to talk to him. He's looking for his number in his phone. He can't find it. Lo and behold, guess who walks through the front door? Russ. He's like, yo, Russ, come and talk to my friend from Colorado. He's going to open a pizzeria. I'm like, Fred, calm down. I'm not opening. Russ comes over there. He's like, when you decide to open a pizzeria, you let me know. I'll help you out any way I can. These guys straight from New York. They got the harsh New York accents. So I'm like, okay. So we became friends. I'd come back to Colorado. I'm a realtor at the time. And I'm listing a building in Old Colorado City, which is near Manitou, where I opened up the first place. And while I'm listing the building on the computer, this other building keeps popping up on my screen. And it's a building in Manitou, and it keeps popping up. I erase it, it comes back. I said, you know what, I'm going to go look at this building. I went and looked at it, and it's like an old restaurant. I'm like, this would be a perfect pizzeria, So I called Russ up. I said, Russ, I think I found a building. This is about 5 months later after I'd been in New York. I think I found a building. I want to do the pizzeria. He's like, well, it sounds like you need to learn to make some pizza, huh? And I said, yeah, well, I was hoping, I could come down there and work for knowledge. He said, come on down. So, I got on the next plane to New York City, went out there for 3.5 days, took extensive notes, and he showed me how to do everything, gave me the name, sent me back to Colorado.
That's how this got started. That is a heck of a story we had to come out here and share with folks. I mean, quite honestly, this Colorado native, I've never been to New York. We flew out there last week. I experienced New York. I've always known that pizza is a really popular food for folks, regardless where you live. But it's never more so noticeable than there in New York City. Why do you think why do you think pizza is such a favorite for folks?
Well, I think pizza is just a very popular food, first of all. I mean, and especially in New York. You go to New York, there's a pizzeria on every corner, So it's big like that. I mean, it has all the essentials. You got the cheese, the sauce, the vegetables, the meats. So it's a pretty balanced meal, and it's easy to make. It feeds a lot of people. I think people like that.
I mean, one of the things, obviously, New York is known for pizza. You yourself, you brought across the country some of these great recipes that basically probably these guys had handed down throughout the years for their own family, now shared with your family. Was that kind of a neat experience to bring it all the way over here for folks?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I was really surprised, first of all, that Russ was such a nice guy to share everything with me. And it's kind of crazy how it all happened, because the first night I was there, went to his restaurant. He said, "Come on," and he put me to work right away. I mean, he had me grating cheese, mixing sauce. He sent me on some deliveries in New York City. I was lost half the time. I was so frustrated, but I worked 13 hours that day. I went back to my hotel room, and I was just like, what the hell am I doing there, So I'm out there, and I get back to my hotel room that I'm paying about $300 a night for, because it's in Times Square, which is probably about 4 New York blocks away from Hell's Kitchen. So I'm there, and I went to use the restroom. My toilet started overflowing, and I'm just like so frustrated. And then the guy from downstairs comes up, and we start talking, and he was a guy that was moonlighting. He was actually a pastor. And then we sat down, we read some scripture out of the Bible, and he said a prayer for me that my trip was going to be successful and that I was going to be successful. And then I went back to work the next morning. I went back to the restaurant. I was about an hour early. I'm just there watching people, And Russ shows up, the owner, and he's like, "Oh, you're early." He said, "I'm going to take you out tonight." So he took me out, and, Russ had been in New York a long time. He was a native, and he owned a restaurant there for 13 years before he had the pizzeria. So he was well known. He was taking me all over town. Just, we were in a cab, and he's just introducing me as a guy who's going to open up a pizzeria in Colorado. And then we went back to his stoop, and we're just hanging out, and he starts talking about the Bronx Tale. That's a movie with Robert De Niro, and it's one of my favorite movies growing up. I'm Italian, and that was like in my top 3 movies. And he told me that his childhood friends were actually the ones that starred in that movie and that wrote the movie. One of his friends had written the scripts, and so it was really like, wow, that's crazy, And then we started talking about that. We were just watching people, and he says, "Nelson, when you first showed up, I said, I'm going to make it so hard on this guy, he's going to be back to Colorado on the next plane." Then the next day you showed up early, and I knew you were serious. And so I decided at that point to give you everything I knew. And he gave me the recipes, the name, and he sent me back to Colorado.
I mean, what a blessing that is. I mean, that's got to be something that, like you say, you probably pondered on for quite a while, wondering why is this guy even doing this, and pretty surprised that he's doing that. Obviously, be it real estate or pizza, the importance of a great foundation is everything. Let's start off and talk a little bit about the foundation, which is the crust. Tell me about this dough that's prepared every day. Where does that begin?
Well, the crust is exactly like New York, and everybody talks about the water in New York. That's what makes the crust. And what I've come to realize is most of the water in New York comes from Maine, and Maine has really good water. And Colorado, fortunately, has really good water as well, especially where I opened up in Manitou. I believe it comes right off the mountain. So that was really helpful in making the crust. So I used the same flour, the same recipe as they used in New York. However, I had to adjust it a little bit. It took me about a month or 2 to tweak it so I can get the same rise that I got in New York. You had to adjust the sugar and the salt. So we got it almost right there, So we get all the New Yorkers. All the New Yorkers come in here and they just can't believe it. They just love it. They just love it. They feel like they're back home,
That's a great testament to you right there. Obviously, you've got different types of crust. We're talking about thin crust. We're talking about deep dish, even grandma's pie, which is a reverse deep dish. What is the most popular when it comes to the crust?
I think the most popular is probably the thin crust. It's New York pizza. People come in here. We have a lot of different pizzas. We have a Hellfire, which is the first one I tried that I fell in love with, and that's our signature pie. It's a spicy pizza. I mean, you can't get that anywhere else. It's absolutely amazing. If you like spicy, you absolutely love it. And we have a mac and cheese pie. We have a 4 white cheese, another New York pie. And then we do have a deep dish Sicilian that takes a while to rise. You have to let it rise a couple of times. It takes a while to make. Then we have a reverse pan pie. It's a pan pie that's a grandma. We put the ingredients on in reverse order. We put the cheese on first, then we put the sauce on in blotches, use fresh whole organic basil and fresh shredded Parmesan. But you can't go wrong with any pizza here. They're absolutely amazing. But as far as the crust, the thin crust is absolutely the favorite here. That's what people come here for, is to get the New York thin crust pizza.
As they say, the secret is in the sauce. Obviously, we're talking about a recipe there that has a little bit of herbs, a little bit of spices. Was that something you had to tweak when you got here as well?
Well, it was hard to find the exact same ingredients, because in New York, you could just go down on the corner and get whatever. Russ used to send me to the corner to get sausage, at the local butcher. So here it's a little bit different. You know, you have Roma and Cisco coming in. So I went through a number of different cheeses, sausages, and sauces, you know, to try to get exactly the same. And some of the sauces that they had here that they had there. So I was able to find, you know, one of the ingredients that we use a combination with. But yeah, I try to keep everything exactly as I could, and as far as the spices go, you know, we use the exact same spices that they use there. So I mean, it's absolutely amazing. It really is.
Authentic right here in Colorado. Obviously, one of the things that makes pizza so popular is the variety. We're talking about the toppings. I mean, you can put quite a few different toppings on. What are some of the fresh toppings you guys provide here?
Well, first of all, our toppings are all top shelf. You know, we don't skimp on the toppings. I think most pizzerias use anywhere from 15 to 20% of their gross on their ingredients. We use about 30, 35. We use the best of the best. And, you know, we have every traditional topping that any other pizzeria has. We do have anchovies that some people don't use. We have sausage, you know, amazing. Like I said, I did a blind taste test with all the sausages, and whichever one tastes the best, looked the best, was the best, that's the one I use. And unfortunately, or fortunately, however you want to look at it, it was usually the most expensive.
Well, that's usually the case sometimes. Obviously, it's been a process for you here. Let me ask you this. I see, obviously, these recipes, they originated there in New York, but I also see one of them on there, which is the Pikes Peak pizza. Sounds like a Colorado creative right there.
Well, you know, it's funny because when I first started out, Russ, he was my mentor. I used to call him. He's like, "Oh, you got it made there. You got it made there. You know, you got all these things like Pikes Peak. Make a Pikes Peak. Put everything." He gave me a lot of ideas, and you know, so I went with them, and so it was really nice to have him in my corner in the beginning. You know, to get me going and get me started, and then we just started using that idea, and we created a calzone. We call it the Incline because they have an incline in Manitou Springs, which is a staircase to the sky, basically, you know. So we have that, and then we added a few other things like a hellhound. I don't think they had that in New York City. So we added a few things, you know, and we added a meat lovers, which just is a traditional pizza that really isn't a New York pizza, but a lot of people kept coming in and asking for it. So we added it to the menu, you know. So you just have to roll with it and, you know, listen to your customer base and try to give them what they want, and that's what we did.
Obviously, you have, like you say, the folks coming here from New York. They can't believe they're in Colorado eating some great pizza. Like you yourself, you're a little reluctant to walk through those doors when you've seen the signage. I imagine folks out there walking through these doors, ready to take a walk on the wild side. They're going to try out that Hellfire pizza, which is the one that really grabbed you. Definitely going to tempt you to want to take in your daily dose of pizza, I imagine.
Oh, yeah. You know, the name really gets a lot of people. A lot of people don't want to come through the door because they have the wrong impression. Most people don't even know about Hell's Kitchen, New York. It's a neighborhood in New York. You know, the setting of the West Side Story, the Jets and the Sharks. So a lot of people are real skeptical when they come in. And then we also have a special, which is called the 666 special. It's a slice of your choice, 3 garlic knots, and a drink for $6.66.
And if that doesn't get you, then $9.99 will, right?
Right. And it's funny because a lot of people they won't say I want the 666. They just won't say it. They'll say I'll take the slice, the drink, and the knot special. You know, and we were like, oh, the 666. Okay, yeah.
Excellent. Viewers, take a look at the bottom of the screen right there. What you're going to see is their website. First of all, on the website, take a look. We're talking about 2 different locations they have to serve you now. And keep in mind, they do deliver as well. But if you give them a call, make sure you call the right number so obviously they can get your pizza over to you. Take a look on there. You can see their menu online as well, all the different toppings, all the different specialty pizzas they provided. But remember, this is New York City, best pizza right here, brought to you firsthand across the country. These are recipes that were brought to you by really a famous Hell's Kitchen right there in New York City. Let me ask you this. Obviously, it's been a journey for you. This has been something that you probably sometimes look back and go, I can't believe that actually came to pass. I mean, this dream that I had, and the whole thing seems a little bit surreal for you. Has it been enjoyable for you, and are you happy to bring this type of stuff for folks here in Colorado?
Oh, yeah, I'm absolutely happy. It's been a hell of a ride, no pun intended.
Yep.
I mean, I've done so many things with my life. I was a school teacher. I was a juvenile probation officer. I owned a roofing company, a tree removal and pruning business. And this is absolutely the best thing that I've ever done. And so many good things have come out of it. I help so many people. And, you know, it's fairly lucrative. And we're expanding. And my dreams keep growing. And believe it or not, my daughter, she's still in New York City. The school we went and looked at then, she still attends there. It's a medical school, and she's in her 3rd year there. So I'm pretty excited about that as well. It seems like the whole thing has literally been a dream come true.
What a blessing. That is fantastic. Viewers, last time, take a look at the bottom of the screen. Once again, you can see their phone number right there. That is 719-685-HELL, and you can get some great pizza right here in Manitou Springs or a little further south here in Colorado Springs. They've got 2 locations to serve you, from Manhattan to Manitou to right here in Colorado. This is Gary Atensi with CNTV. And if you don't know, now you know.